Ed, we've had the privilege of reading Blue Ocean, and it's a wonderful book, and it ties great into our commercial business. Can you share how you feel that this book ties to what we do in commercial?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting take on the book, right? I mean, the whole idea in the book is that you want to fish, or you want to really swim in oceans that really aren't really competitive. And it's kind of difficult commercially when we think about what we're trying to do. If we're doing our job correctly, as commercial salespeople out there, we're in the business of taking away customers. You know, we don't want you calling on shoe stores because you're not going to sell many of them. So don't waste a lot of time calling on people that don't have pest control, trying to convince them to get it. So where your focus needs to be is trying to uncover opportunities and get audiences with people that already have pest control. So you kind of dump yourself at that point in time right smack dab into the red ocean that's so competitive, everybody churning for the same business. Right. And I think where we got to try to create separation commercially and they kind of slide it to the blue ocean to where there's not a lot of people competing. And I think it comes down to, certainly working your tail off to get the audience with the customer, but then showing them a complete package. Versus, if you think about it, if you walked into any business, hey, how much you paying for pest control? They say, oh, I'm paying $150, right? And when you walked in that business, you're like, they got to be paying more than 150, or I don't know if I can compete at 150. So we're always going to have that. We know we're going to be higher priced. But what I would suggest to you is you got to take it past that comparison between general pest control services. Because we're not going to win that game. You're not going to survive in that red ocean trying to go nose to nose on the general pest control services with any of our competitors out there, right? So you're going to be more money. So if you know you're going to be more money, oftentimes you're trying to chase this business where they don't have problems. They haven't called us if you're doing this right. We don't get that many leads commercially. So how do you take that very competitive red ocean situation where you're trying to knock somebody out and try to slide it over to where you're in the blue ocean, kind of separating yourself, and there's not a whole lot of competition? I think that really comes down to, obviously doing your great inspections and doing all that, right. But I think it comes down to just being observant of all the issues and problems, the situations that occur. Door sweeps on every, you walk into any building. If, I've done it in some of the kickoff classes kickoff meetings we've been to this year. Hey, what's this hotel worth? And I get, I'd sell this for like $180. And if you really look at that building the right way, that box that a hotel's in is worth at least $20,000 of exposure dollars or stuff that we could offer, taking it into ProAct and all those kind of things. So I think that's what you want to try to do. When you get that audience, you want to try to get out of that red ocean where you're trying to compete, dollar for dollar on general pest control, and say, hey, you needed these door sweeps. I found this on my inspection, or I found this going on, or man, the floors are pretty slick, and you got some small flies back in here. You need to really take a look at our Act Design program. I noticed when I was in your restrooms that you don't have any of the auto flusher thingies in there, and that's the terminology I use. That's that. Right. I mean, just serving that up to where. You try to drive it out of that, we're competing against the price, so they're not looking at the two papers and saying, oh, Orkin's $195 and Terminix is $110. What's the difference? Create that separation. I think if you take it to the point where, Orkin says they want $4,200. They want $400 a month, but they're going to add this, and this, and they're going to give me a complete program. They're going to throw in mosquito. They're going to do these extra things. I think you can start to drive that opportunity out of that very competitive red ocean into the blue ocean and set yourself up the right way. And the analogy that I like to use, and I've shared this with you before, is, you take your car into the shop and your spark plugs are fouled and they're a mess. If the mechanic says, well, I'll replace your spark plugs, and charges you X amount, that's all you went in there for, right? And that's really what they're looking at right then. But if he doesn't tell you at that point in time that, hey, this is wrong, your oxygen sensor's wrong, so your fuel mix is wrong, so that's what's fouling this. Or your head gasket, for God's sakes, is failing you. That's what's causing this. Or your piston's not running right, or a ring's not running right. Something's broken that's contributing to that. I think that's where you can create some of that separation commercially, is by serving up the other things that the other companies aren't mentioning, and taking it out again of that red ocean where you're just grinding on each other for a couple of bucks, trying to show separation. When you lay $400 a month on them when they're only paying $150, and they start to see the other added values that you bring. And what if you threw a ProAct in on top of that? What if you threw a canine inspection on top of that? What if you talked about heat? What if you talked about doing free bed bug education? Taking it out of that, I'm only paying $150, I'm not going to give you $195. No, that's not the approach. I want $400. but here's what we're going to give you for 400. So you
Nice.
take that real easy comparison away to where they look at it and say, well, he's doing this and you're doing that. There's no comparison when you compare $400 a month to $150 or whatever they're charging. Make some sense?
That does make sense. Excellent
Swim
example.
Swim in blue oceans. Swim in blue
right.
oceans. And again, I'm not a mechanic, so forget the spark plug analogy, but it kind of makes sense to me when
Stop
somebody's
thinking
wanting-
like you're in the red ocean. Start thinking, how can you get to the blue ocean?
Yeah,
That's
I think you'll be more successful. I
Yeah.
think you'll be more successful. Good luck.